Welcome to your fourth and final lesson of this ICT Course 1 on Microsoft Excel and Google Sheets. Now it's all about how we represent data, it's all about how we gather data, it's all about how we make it readable and something useful to humans. And really in this last lesson we're going to be focusing a lot on data insights. What can we get from the data? Right, so the first one we're doing is just a little recap and really just what are these formulas. So what they're going to have to go and do is what's A1 times B1. So they're doing it now without the formula being there or without being able to calculate. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to jump straight into task 1. Okay, the learners should be familiar with how to open Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel. I'm going to go straight to making a copy. I'm already logged in. Okay, let me zoom in. Okay, we're just refreshing here. That is going to be A1 plus B1. That works perfectly. A2 plus B2. So we're going to check now. A2 plus B2. That works perfectly too. We're going to A1 times B1. That's A1 times B1. We're going to have A1 times A3. That's A1 times A3. And the student should be getting this. I'm going to run through it. Okay, let's get started. We're going to add the IAAF Under 20 World Championship as our title. That's athletics. We're going to center it and we're going to put it in the middle. I'm going to add a different text, make it a bit bigger. Cool. On row 9, let's add Switzerland. So we're going to add Switzerland. And we're going to allocate 2 gold, 4 silver, and 2 bronze. On row 10, we're going to add our own country. I'm going to add Japan, and we're going to add whatever we want here. I'm going to give them 1 medal each. Okay, so we've done these first 3. Now it says select B3 to E10, B3 to E10, and we're going to insert a chart. So I'm going to insert a chart, and we want that chart to be a stacked column chart. That's quite useful that Google has already thought we needed a stacked column chart. So we have done these so far. I can see something's wrong. It says Jamaica where I needed to start with Kenya. This is a little bug that Google has. So you're going to say use the 3 rows as heading. Remember, you double click on the graph, and we don't want to do that, and we do want to do that, and then Kenya is going to come back. Okay, now we're going to read off the total number of medals from each country. We're going to have to add minor grid lines. So let's go to customize, let's go to grid lines. Now we have 5 from 5 to 10, so we want 4 minor grid lines between each of those. So it will go 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Perfect. So let's read it off. I can see Kenya is on 11. I can see Jamaica is on 12. Just upon reading off the graph, the United States is 15, 16, 17, 18. I'm going to continue to do that. Brilliant. Now we want to change the bars to match the color of the medals. We're going to click on the column. Okay, we want gold. We have gold there. Let's make gold look more gold-like. Brilliant. Let's make silver look more silver-like. That can probably look something like there. There we go. We have our 3 medals. My gold is perhaps not very good, so we can make a darker gold. Let's change the title of our graph to read medal table. And now the last question is, can you find another way to total the medals of the country? We've just looked at it. Obviously, we want the students to go sum. We want them to scroll across to calculate the sum. We can see that there, and we're going to scroll down to the bottom. Perfect. Let's go to tab 2. We have the results of a geography test in July. We have 6 students here, the scores on their practice test and the scores on their real test. Select the data and insert a horizontal dual bar graph. Okay, so we're going to insert a chart. Okay, it hasn't yet suggested exactly what we're looking for. So let's go for a horizontal dual bar graph. That's exactly what we are looking for. Okay, I can see again it's missed out the first student, so we're going to remove that. We're going to add that back. And then we can see scores on practice test, scores on real test. Who did the best in the practice test? Who did the best on the practice test is blue, and that was Luanda who did the best in the practice test. Who did the worst in the practice test? That is the red one, that is Lucy. Who did the best in the real test? Who did the worst in the real test was the red one, Letu. And who did the worst in the red one? That was Lucy again. Okay. Click on row 6 so that the whole row is selected, and then right-click Insert Above. So we're on row 6, and we're going to right-click Insert One Above. Now we're going to add a new student there with a name starting with L. Let's add a new student here. I'm going to call her Lily, and we're going to say what she did. So Lily, you can see that Lily has been added on the right, and she got 11 on her practice test and 11. She was consistent. We're going to change the color of the bar graphs, which I'm not going to do now, but I missed out here a very important part of it. And task 4 is discuss what is the conclusion we can make about the practice test and the real test. Well, the conclusion is that the real test was far easier than the practice test. The practice test was far more difficult. Or the practice test highlighted to everyone that they need to start working, and they were actually the same difficulty, but everyone was more prepared. And that's the discussion you can have with your class. Okay, on tab 3, the nursery, Plant Boost Nursery, records the effect of temperature on the growth of a new plant. The goal of the study is to determine what temperature is the best for growing the most flowers. Here are the results, 6 degrees to 24 degrees, and the number of new flowers that are being grown. I'm going to zoom out here a little bit. Okay, select column A6 to A16 and insert a chart. Okay, 6 to 16, we're going to insert our chart here. And that chart is, it seems to have made a scatter plot chart for us, which is very useful because that's exactly what we are looking for. How many flowers grew at 22 degrees? At 22 degrees, we can see that there are 10 flowers. What can you say about the number of flowers when the temperature increases? Well, so far we can see that as the temperature increases, the number of flowers is increasing. So it looks like we should just keep increasing the temperature. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add some more data. So let's copy and paste that data there with Control-C, Control-V. Let's add it as a graph or some borders around it. So what happened to our graph? It went up and then down. Using the chart editor, change your vertical axis to have a maximum value of 17. So we're going to customize vertical axis. I'm going to add a maximum value of 17 to look a little bit better. That's much better. I see it's actually gone to 20. What is the best temperature to grow your flowers? Can we get more accurate? So what is the best temperature to grow our flowers? So we look like here just after 25, so that's going to be 26. We got the most new flowers. So at 26 degrees, we have the most accurate temperature. What we can do to get the most effective temperature, what we can do to get more accurate is that we can maybe, instead of measuring every 2 degrees, we can maybe measure every single degrees. So as we get really hot or really cold, we can have a discussion about why flowers don't grow in that environment. Lastly, the challenge. It's really for students who want to push themselves, but there's no pressure for the students who don't get there. It's very self-explanatory. So in cell B4, write equals B2 times B3. So we're going to go equals B2 times B3. And all we're going to do is drag it all the way to M4. And what has happened? Well, we see that it said 2 times 2, 3 times 3. We can see that the formula updated the whole place we went along. Now in cell B12, we're going to write B10 times B11. So we're going to go equals B10 times B11. However, on B10, we're going to put $2 signs on either side of B10, and that locks, right? So the $sign locks a cell when you drag the cell. So now we're going to drag it across. What happens? Well, let's have a look at number 7. It was actually stuck on that 1 all the way to 7. Okay. So the final task in cell 21, that's over here, C21, we're going to write the following formula. We're going to write equals C20, which is over here, multiplied by B21, which is over here. Now, we've got to add our $signs to lock the row. We want to lock the row 20, and we want to lock the column B. So we're going to lock it like that. So if we scroll across now, what happens? Okay, that's cool. It seems quite normal. And if we scroll down, what happens? Okay, that's also cool. It seems pretty normal. It's gone 1 times 7. But now what we want to do is we want to take all that and scroll it all the way down. And we can see now that's quite useful because it's multiplied the numbers times the numbers. So it went, and as it locked, it actually interpreted for us. And then the final challenge is the students need to go to 15, which they can do pretty easily by themselves by just adding that there, and then just figuring out that they can just quite literally scroll that across